I am from Boutique Modern. We're based down in Newhaven. We've been building volumetric modular buildings for 10 years. Modular building breaks into a lot of different systems. BOPAS reckon there are 170 modular building firms in the UK, and I would guess there's probably about 170 different build systems. So when I'm talking about our build system, I mean specifically Boutique Modern's build system. Other companies might have different methods. Boutique Modern, 10 years ago, began with the concept of building homes in a factory from start to finish. And we do what's called volumetric modular construction. Everyone knows Huff House. Huff House is a panel build. So it comes to site, flat packed on a truck, it's put together and then fitted in internally once it's on site. Volumetric, the concept is you deliver boxes. And the bigger the box, obviously, the better. The box contains all the finishes, all the first and second fix electrics and plumbing. It's fitted with kitchens, bathrooms, whatever's required. We bring it to site and it comes together in pieces to form whatever the building is. As far as function is concerned, we've built flats. Obviously, penthouses are an obvious one, but stacks of flats, student accommodation, studios and bedsits. We've built commercial buildings. We've built standalone houses on greenfield sites. So the system is basically designed to be as flexible as possible. So what we've done is, over our experience over 10 years, is develop basically a very substantial system that's incredibly flexible. Rather than it being a jigged system, which a lot are, where there's a fixed size and you produce replicants of the same thing, our system breaks down into a floor system, which is a floor cassette, very rigid, very strong and well insulated. A wall build-up, which we can repeat in any format. And then a roof cassette, effectively a roof sandwich, which forms the roof over whatever shape is created. It means that people can come to us with difficult sites. Obviously, a squeeze, we're not just putting square boxes in. It means we can go onto rooftops that are maybe even triangular. We can produce round-fronted buildings. Through the last 5 or 6 years, we've produced a tremendous variety of buildings. I'm going to show you a few of them. The strength of the wall system means that we're obviously limited, to go back a stage, we're limited by the size of box that we can put on an English road. If a building is wider than 4.2, 4.3 meters, it won't go around a corner on an English road without removing street furniture and stopping traffic and everything. Over 4.4, we have to have a police escort door to door, and that's very expensive. So we've tried to build a system which we can build at around 4.2 wide. We've been up to 16 meters long, which is a big building. It's as long as this building here. So I prefer to do smaller than that. Between 8 and 9 meters is good. But it's strong enough that we can build it with one open side, certainly. We have built with 2 open sides. So I'll show you a project in a minute where we've created a space which is not far off the size of this room by putting together modules that are open on 1 or 2 sides, and then in some cases taking a support post out, which is only there for the transfer. There was something else I was going to say at that point. Height. We can go to 4.8 out of the factory. 4.8 is the height of a motorway bridge after the road has been resurfaced twice. Above 4.8, you don't want to know what happens. So, again, Boutique Modern respond to these sorts of restrictions and try and get around them. What we've done is develop buildings, and you'll see a couple of them today, that come apart at 4.8. So we build it complete, and we take the roof off and put that on a separate lorry. So we go to site, we drop the ground floor in, perhaps, and then we drop a vaulted ceiling on over the spaces. Because the reason we build volumetrically, we believe a great thing about volumetric factory construction is everything is dry. Nothing gets wet. Everything's level and straight because we're building on a concrete floor. And the standards, the leveling and things like that we do are very, it's easy basically. Where was I going with that? Yes, key is to keep it dry. So we can deliver up to, the most we've done is 11 modules in a single day and had it weather tight by night time. So that was 7 bed sits, and it came to site and was sited in one day. I've developed a studio at Boutique Modern. It's an office at Boutique Modern where we can take a design, or we can get involved in the design very early, but we can take a design which is approved by planning, and we can literally take it from there right the way through to handing over a key on a finished building. So we have a number of departments. We have draftsmen who can produce plans from your planning drawing. We can take it through building control, through the warranty, through mortgage application and all that sort of stuff. I have a gentleman who is very experienced on compliance, so we can take it through fire safety, through structural analysis, SAP, obviously. We can use BIM to create the sort of modelling that's required in order to sail through various checks. And then further back in the process, we're capable, once we have a drawing and we sit down with you and develop a specification, and we have a showroom where you can choose every detail of what you want in your building, we can give you a menu price list of how much your house is going to cost. So you can choose this light switch and that door handle, or that coat hook and that towel rail, and it will come out of the price or go back into the price. And we will tell you that your house is going to cost, a single house is going to cost, let's say, £160,000, and it will cost £160,000. It won't cost any more unless you choose a different light switch. That's the system. Obviously, there's groundworks. That's a different thing altogether. Another detail, you can see here the foundation we've designed at the bottom, which is a concrete slab foundation in this case. We're working on a project in Hailsham at the moment, which you're all welcome to come and see if you like to, where we're siting 2 bungalows on a backlot site. It's a great position, actually, really nice position. And we're using a Canadian screw pile system, which is warranted, Premier warranty it, and it's therefore mortgageable. It's a system they've been using in Canada for 30 years, and it's well proven, and it removes all the concrete waste, so there's all the concrete use, rather. So there's no, we scrape the ground, obviously, to get rid of the topsoil, but there's no muck away, there's no trenching, there's no concrete. There's literally no concrete in the foundation at all. This is being observed by a lot of local authorities, and I think this is going to be the way forward for us. Our floor cassette has a ring beam, and so we don't need that concrete ring beam that you would normally pour to create a house. So the build system that we've developed is trusted by building control, whether that be local authority building control or authorised inspectors. We work with a number of different authorised inspectors. Being a modular builder, obviously, it's a bit weird because you're building the house in one place and the foundations in another. And they're getting used to the idea of teaming up. So if we're delivering in Rother, for instance, and building in Lewis, as we do, either an authorised inspector will cover both, or the local authorities will come together and finalise it between them. Premier Guarantee, we have very quickly managed to get a Premier type approval, which again shortcuts a whole part of the system. The warranty is provided, which opens up the whole of the Council of Mortgage Lenders and other institutional financiers. Now, the factory is in Newhaven, as I say. I can't remember how big it is. I think it's about 35,000 square feet, something like that. We employ 30 full-time people who live in and around Newhaven. A lot of them have joined us straight out of school or out of other professions. So we've trained them in the way we build, and they basically work the way we want them to work. They've learnt our process. They break into 3. So we construct the house, we first fix the house, and then we finish the house. People just construct the house, or they just finish the house. So as I was saying, there are guys who build floors all day. They know how to build a floor. All they want to know is how big you want the floor to be, and they'll build it. This is just looking down. I took this photograph on Tuesday. In the factory at the moment, at the far end, there is, actually to the far end and to the right, there's an office building that's going into Wandsworth, 2-storey building, 4 big offices. In the centre, there are these 2 bungalows that are going to Hailsham. They're leaving the factory on Friday next week. And in the foreground, there are 6. They're sort of like ensuite bedrooms for a wedding village in Cheshire. Stately home, kitchen garden, beautiful kitchen garden, walled kitchen garden, and they're putting these lovely little pods in so that when you're having your wedding there, you can stay over, which I think is very generous of them. So they're going out on Wednesday. The system, obviously, can be used in all sorts of different ways. And we've recently done a Grand Designs. Everyone thinks, oh, you should be on Grand Designs. We were on Grand Designs. The show's not going out until February. People, and I'm sure you all see it on Grand Designs, people build big and they build flash and they build very over-the-top, flamboyant. We believe that volumetric construction doesn't need to be like that. It's very challenging for us to build something big and open and over the top, even though we've done a lot of it. But volumetric modular, the reason I started the company was because I used to manufacture furnishing accessories, and I worked with IKEA and people like IKEA. And the way that IKEA develop a product is to start with the logistics. They start with how it's going to fit on a shelf, and then they work all the way back through the transit volume, the trucks that it's going on, the shelf it's going to be stored on, and then they break that down into the materials, the sizes that fit in a box, bum, 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 all the way back down to how quickly it can be produced. I've tried to do the same with housing. I keep it a secret because some people think it's a bit weird, but the idea, I believe, with modular housing is if we can get involved quite quickly in the design, and we don't have to dominate the design, but if we can contribute to the design and maybe keep all the wet stuff in one pod or keep all the hot water and stuff like that in another pod, maybe put a bathroom next to a kitchen, we can cut down on the production hugely. Space is relatively cheap to build. Bedrooms are great. We love bedrooms. They come through very fast. If we can intensely engineer the kitchen, bathroom, cloakroom aspect of things, we can drop the cost away hugely, and I'll illustrate that to you in a moment. But basically, what I'm saying is we can go on a rooftop, we can go in the middle of a field, we can go in a tiny little space. I'm going to show you one in a minute, which is very, very tight. This is the Volks railway station. It's on the seafront next to the Palace Pier in Brighton. We built it in 3 parts for them. This module here weighed 26 tons, and it went on a big, big truck. You can see it parked there from Newhaven along the seafront to the aquarium in Brighton. This was fully fitted when it left our factory, apart from the floor cassette being empty. We'd put in underfloor heating into the floor cassette, and then we poured a polished concrete floor once it was on site. The finished building, it was designed by a company in Hove called ABIR Architects. The concept is, you can read about it on the Facebook page, but it was basically 3 pods. One of them is zinc clad, and it's a Zenga zinc, not just any old zinc. And then a glass box in the middle, which was another module, and then a rubber clad building on the right, which I think was a reference to Dungeness housing and various different train references there. So a design inspired by an architect that was inspired by its function, we managed to adapt our system to deliver it. This is a site in Richmond. This single volume building you can see in the foreground, we had to make out of 4 pods that the bottom 2 were missing a wall and the roof, the top 2 were missing a wall and the floor. So we put it together, split into 4, if you know what I mean, and then finished the interior. There's another 3 pods behind it, 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. The interior of this, obviously, was a large amount of decorated flat wall space, but there was a custom-built kitchen hung on the wall under that slit window, which was on the back of a truck with no roof on the way up. The inside is like that. So this volume, this room in the foreground, came with a split between the 2 windows, which just a male and female steel form that went together. There's that glass system is lovely. It was very expensive. It's very, very, very minimal. When it's open, there's barely anything left. And the flooring obviously is done on site because it hides all the joins. A little bit of decorating, and the guy moved in. It has a gas underfloor heating system as well. It's got a gas boiler. This was a challenge. This is in Bermondsey in central London, where there's a lot of vehicle movement limits because of work that's going on at the Shard and around that place, London Bridge Station. Gentleman owned the window in the top left-hand corner. He had 2 bedrooms, a pokey little kitchen, a bathroom, and a tiny sitting room. And he bought the air rights above him. And he turned his flat into 2 ensuite bedrooms and an entrance hall. And he put this on the roof. And this was again done in a single day. This is a 100 square meter room, a single room. The skylight you can see in the far side is 4 meters square, to give you an idea of how big this thing is. It's vast. And the shard is just off to the left there. Again, a wonderful window system. We didn't design any of these. They were designed by architects, and we broke them up into modules. This is in Shoreham. Again, we inherited a design, a great design. I didn't realize how nice it was until we put it together, actually. The architect has sort of echoed the Shoreham street scene with the 3 modules to the right. The 3 buildings to the right look a little bit like the terraced houses in the streets opposite. So those 3 are made from 6 modules upstairs and downstairs. And then we had to rebuild the garages because I think actually they've been demolished. We'd have had to rebuild them probably anyway to support the upstairs, which has 4, I think, bed sits on it. So this was 11 modules. This is the one we put together very quickly on a long day. And they arrived fitted like this. I mean, they've all got it's called an elfin kitchen. It comes in one piece, and we just installed it. They've all got rather nice shower rooms as well. So all of those systems, all of those builds I just told you about were adapted to our system and consequently cost a fair amount. So, some of them were very expensive. We've worked, through our experience over 10 years, we've worked on products effectively. We're now we have designs for flats and houses, terraces, 4-story houses, 3-story houses, that optimize our build system and reduce the cost as much as possible. And you're all very welcome to come and have a look at those if you'd like to, or even just use them as a starting point for your design. So we're trying to use the efficiencies that we've learned and the system, the strength of the system that we have to kind of optimize the cost saving, and at the same time produce something which is nice. I want to build houses, we want to build houses that people want to live in, not places where people are just about living, if you know what I mean. We're approached a lot modular these days, is thought as being for emergency housing. And we're trying to make it so that we're making really lovely houses. They don't have to be big and flash. So if you have any questions, let me know.